Of course, yeah. So yeah, let's start off. So welcome to our episode 16 of Kapi Poha session and Ittefaq series. And so today we have Kanupriya Prashar as our guest speaker, and she is an economist and a transfer pricing expert. And I had a privilege to work with her in one of the organization, and she's worked across various MNCs as well. And she's given her expertise over transfer pricing to a lot of people, and people look up to her for that knowledge. So I know her because of the kind of knowledge she has for that subject, and also being the economics honor student from Miranda House as well. So that's few of the things which I know about her. And also her leadership style is also very different from other people. So that is also what I like about her. So I'll ask her to say hi to you guys as well.
Hi, everybody. I'm very happy to be associated with Smita on this social cause. And I hope I'm able to positively bring about a change in the way you think and manage a woman leadership. Because trust me, we can be a bit moody, but it's all about being able to adjust to each other's happy positions and not so happy positions.
That's there. So coming back to, I think I've never had a session like this with you even when we worked. So it's a lot of questions to be asked today. Okay, so let me
Go
start
ahead,
with how.
Smita. It feels like coffee with Smita, Kapi with Smita.
Yeah, Kapi Poha, yeah. So the only thing is I can give you only virtually whatever coffee. I have a coffee with me, that is my black coffee, but no poha.
Guess what I had to kind of get myself in the mood. Take one guess.
I don't know. It's fine. Yeah. So my guess was right, yeah.
It's
So
a
tell me how
Friday,
did
a
you.
Saturday evening. What else are you expected to do?
So I'm at
Anyways,
a
go
place.
ahead. Go ahead.
I'm at a place where I don't get all of these things. So I'm at a properly a small town in Kerala. So ये सब privilege नहीं है मुझे. City life का privilege कुछ भी नहीं है.
I think we need to get you back into Gurgaon.
Oh, let's see. I don't want to go anywhere because this place is so beautiful. The nature is so beautiful here. I never used to like this place, but now I fall in love because of my vehicle. Because I started driving recently, and
I have
because of
been to
that,
Kerala at least 3 times, and it's been all those 3 times. I've had such memorable events that I can cherish for all my life. Yeah.
So tell me about how did you fall in love with economics and you opted for BA Economics honors from Miranda House?
Okay, just on time check, Smita, we have 1 hour session or half an hour session?
So we can go till 35 to 45 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So just to cut a long story short, I wanted to become a doctor, and I did not get subject of my choice in the 10th, 11th standard because my aptitudes showed that I'm more of a humanities person as per my teachers, and maybe they were right. And I opted for arts, and if I had taken up sciences, I would have done physics honors. If I had not taken up science, then I would have done economics honors. So I made up my mind at 11th grade. So if you ask your question on what your mantra to life is, be clear on what you want to be. Don't go by what other people want you to be, but be what you want to be. And that's what I have always stuck to throughout my life, right from my childhood. And I'm very happy with the fact that my parents gave me that kind of an upbringing and that kind of a freedom that I was able to make those choices for myself and not compromise on becoming a doctor or becoming a scientist or becoming a social scientist as my parents are. Normally, you follow the legacy that your parents set up.
Yeah. So, but you had that privilege of going with the options which
Yeah.
you.
So I was amongst the only woman in my family to be an MBA, which was unheard of in my family background. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you went for your post graduation in management, and then your work started with transfer. So, how was this transition basically?
It was not a transition. It was, like an apple falling on your head, and you're saying, okay, I don't want to use the word serendipity, but it was serendipity because I went for a corporate finance role in KPMG. And since I didn't make it to that, They said, I will offer you a tax role in transfer pricing. I'm like, okay, KPMG is a good place to be, and whatever this offer me, lets me just take it, because I need to be in a good start when my career is starting. So they gave me an offer in transfer pricing, and I had studied in international economics while doing my MBA in International Management Institute. And luckily, I cut it through with the partners there, and I've been stuck to that profession for the last 20 years.
And you've been writing a lot of articles on it, papers on it, and you've been giving all those knowledge about transfer pricing in and out, basically. So how did that fall for, I mean, I keep using that word, falling in love with transfer pricing, because that can be seen in your work as well, because everywhere you go, people look up to you as a transfer pricing expert only, right?
Besides RBS. But
Yeah.
RBS is a different
Right,
ball game
to start
altogether.
with.
Yeah. No offense to that, but uh, see, transfer pricing is all about science and economics, and both those two subjects I completely, love analyzing and doing well on. I love mathematics. That was my strong point. I scored very high on mathematics when everybody else almost got a compartment during that year in boards. So, something which is very complicated and complex and tough, I like to simplify and make it easier. And since I am not a chartered accountant and I am not a very complicated person in my head, I like to kind of, unknot the complicated structures that people build to kind of confuse people. I like to kind of keep it as a very layman kind of a thing, where anybody can understand what I'm speaking, because I shouldn't say this, but I don't think I'm an expert on transfer pricing from a technical standpoint in India, not globally. I don't care too much about the sections and whatever they say. But if your fundamentals and principles are right from an economic rationale, then everything else falls in perspective. Rest all is very fancy English just to confuse people and make it a little complex. That, oh, you're doing something like a tax subject, which is typically seen to be a very niche and a very like people with like, I don't think anybody grows up and says, I want to be a tax lawyer or a tax expert. You know what I mean? If you don't get anywhere else, then you become that. Yeah.
So you told about your life mantra as well, that you want every people that you what you follow is that you want to be the way you are, basically nothing, no
So,
fancy
yes, my
dress.
mantra in life is don't follow people, don't fall in the bracket of following people, but do things which make people follow you. So, everybody knows, the prime minister or the president of the country. But how many people does president and prime minister know matters? So try and being one of those people. I'm not saying I'm there, but hopefully in this lifetime I'm able to do something which is going to make a change in the socio-economic environment of this country, because I feel very strongly about that.
And there are youngsters who are always when you're 11th and 12th, or maybe probably in your graduation years also, people are confused that if they take economics, आगे क्या होगा, कोई options मिलता है, taxation का option मिलता है, आगे क्या होगा. So what are the options if a person goes for an economics honors? Do they can they think that they'll have a bright future because they're not following the norms or the conventional thing like a doctor, engineer, right? In today's world, there are a lot of options available. So, but still, people look at them as like, you economics le rahe ho, usse naukri nahi milega. People are again, I mean, that perspective is still there. So,
I think the
what is your
key
suggestion?
barometers and criteria for anybody to choose economics as a subject is certainly, if you have the aptitude to analyze, if you have the aptitude to comprehend, and if you have the tenacity of solving complex mathematical equations. Because microeconomics, for example, is nothing but integration in mathematics that you must have done also. Everybody does, till 12th standard. Or, different forms of permutations, combinations. So if probability theorems and stuff like that. So if you are good at economics, if you're good at analyzing stuff, if you are generally keen at knowing about what's going on in the business world, not from earning quick money, which typically the youngsters fall in the trap. They think that, oh, if we get inside knowledge about stock market, then we'll make quick money. But trust me, you may just lose as much over a period of time as well. So yes, knowing your risks, knowing your hedges, knowing your exposures, and having a holistic view of what the whole dynamics are all about, from a macro aspect and from a micro aspect, makes you be able to understand the big picture and then the implementation. I think my second mantra, if I may share with you, Smita, although you haven't asked, but we talk of strategy, okay? Like you were part of the Global Recharges team and heading that for RBS globally. The strategy is not how about how great competitive edge you have against your team or your management or your competitor, but in terms of how well you're able to execute that strategy makes you the right person. So I'm an executor, I'm a finisher. And I like to quote from the kind of Suits, the popular TV show, just on a lighter note. I'm sure you must have followed it all also on the legal aspects. I'm like that, the guy, I've forgotten the name, the senior guy. I'm a finisher. Like I like to get a problem and I like to just resolve it. And in the most simplistic form, because trust me, most CFOs don't understand a tax person's words because they are so complicated. The written language is so complicated. So be able to comprehend it, translate it into a simple form is what makes it kick and realize your dreams, whether you do economics, sociology, maths, become a doctor, engineer. Just follow your passions and follow your aptitude. I think that's more important. I think our generation is a little unfortunate in that sense that we had the burden of carrying out our parents' unfinished dreams of achieving certain amount of financial stability because they got it very hard. So for us, it was more that no, you have to do this because you have to earn that kind of a money.
So,
And more for
so coming
single women like you and me, it's more and more difficult actually, to be accepted on that account.
So yeah, another question people do ask in youngsters is कि transfer pricing करने से there are a lot of options to travel abroad, overseas जाने का chances है.
No,
What,
that's a very
it's very
wrong fallacy. If you're in a big four firm, I don't think they make you follow the third class protocols. Okay, so it's not that everybody gets to travel. I had a fortunate experience of being in a global role all along my career. So as a requirement to my job, because I was paid Indian salary while doing a global role, so my fringe benefits included a very good P&L budget, which was as big as or even bigger than a CEO's budget in India. So it's not that you just get to travel because you're a transfer pricing person. No, that's not a fact. But if you're in a global role, yes, you need to do that because you need to interact with people, you need to talk with people, you need to strategize with people, you need to review people, and that's how you do. But I'm talking about things which were 15 years ago or 10 years ago. Things have drastically changed, and my last travel on a transfer pricing assignment was with Bharti Airtel when I went to Africa. Okay. So there hasn't been, like, I didn't travel with Deloitte. I did not travel with RBS. Although I was heading the intercompany team for RBS also, I never went to Scotland, right? So even if you're doing transfer pricing, accounting and reporting doesn't mean that you're not supposed to be traveling. So it's not an entitlement that you get along with the title of being a transfer pricing person. But yes, if your job demands, then of course you get those benefits and opportunities. I think it's not benefit, it's an opportunity that you get.
and is it because you said you're not from a CA background and you're able to become an expert in that, so that's what I was telling the younger crowd who wanted to know more about transfer pricing, that it's not necessary that you have to have a CA degree to comprehend transfer pricing or laws and all. It is any person who has the flair for it can do it. Am I
See,
right in saying that?
you're right in saying that, Smita, but there is a flip side to it also. In India, it's more dominated by the CA firms. So, yes, you need to have the CA stamp to be able to grow into a partner role in a firm like Ernst& Young, Deloitte, or a PwC or a KPMG. However, at the same time, if you consider yourself as a global person, then if you look at America or any other developed country, a nation where transfer pricing has been there for more than 20 years, as in India, it's predominantly dominated by economists because it's an economic subject. It is a tax subject. It's not something which per se a chartered accountant has to necessarily be able to understand. Yes, you need to know the accounting principles. You need to know how a depreciation or a working capital adjustment impacts your final operating margin calculation. But and that can come from a basic accounting knowledge that you do while doing your CA, MBA, or a any other CFA kind of a course. So you don't necessarily have to be a chartered accountant, but it's a great degree to have. It's a great qualification to have. It's not a degree; it's a qualification, right? It's a great qualification to have. I was never on. I couldn't understand the whole concept of creating lines and creating a ledger and all that. I was a P&L, I was a balance sheet person all along. I would analyze a P&L, but I wouldn't get into how that's, how those numbers are construed.
Because I
During
have a
our
nephew.
times when we were in growing up, there was a lot of emphasis on technical abilities. I think that is very much an area of growth in today's generation because I don't want to name a company, but I've heard people talk like, अच्छा working capital ये होता है तो इसको ऐसे कर देते हैं. So it's just like interpretation of English language that they actually, you know,
So my nephew
construe
is
it.
taking economics honors, so he doesn't like accounting, so that's why he never wanted to get into commerce or CA
So
or any of
yes,
the things.
economics is not accounting at all. No,
So
you do
he never
you
wanted.
do. No, it's
Yeah, never
not.
went into commerce, and but he was very sure that
My
I have
fancy
to
was
get.
to become. I wanted to become an investment banker, and that doesn't require it requires a CA degree, my dear. So
Yeah.
that was my ambition. I wanted to become, do mergers and acquisitions, which I did eventually, doing a transfer pricing. I did work for investment banks from a transfer pricing point of view because I was advising them on their cross-border transactions. But my ambition was to be on the Wall Street and be an investment banker. That was a tradition during our times, so to speak.
He's not joined for this session, but I'll ask him to view this episode at least in YouTube because he'll also be he'll like the way you said about economics and stuff like that because he also like he doesn't like those lines in
Who's this
balance sheet.
person I'm sorry you're asking about?
My nephew, his name is Rohit. So he's also doing his masters in economics now. So he's doing it from MIT. So he's also he doesn't like wants to get into the understanding of the numbers rather than those lines of the balance sheet and P&L. The way you were saying, he has the same concept. You should listen to you. So yeah,
I was
coming
little
back.
biased also. I thought I was a Brahmin and I'm not supposed to do a khajanchi ka kam. I'm going to be screwed for that statement.
So yeah, tell me about growing your peers in Delhi basically. So we've talked about economics and transfer pricing, but you've been growing up. Your growing up was years were in Delhi, right? And because I think you studied your college also in Delhi itself. So how was it basically?
Best you can get in India.
And what is the most memorable childhood memory?
I have too many to say one.
Hmm. You want to share something, you can share it so that people also know that it will help people to think that what kind of childhood memory they should also carry when they grow up.
I think all childhood memories where I think I was very intuitive child and a very curious child. So I used to accompany my mom, dad everywhere they go, every market they go, be it Chandni Chowk or be it South Extension or be it Greater Kailash was not a big deal at that time, but South Extension and um, Chandni Chowk were the two go places for depending on what your requirements are. So from fixing the bulbs in the house and paint polish ka color to wearing the fancy dress on your birthday, those were my very fond memories that I think the exposure to every aspect of life, to be able to manage independently being a woman and not having a brother in a very stereotype patriarchal system that we still live in India, and more so as we are getting into the 21st century. I think the patriarchal systems are going even more and more, you know, rigid. And we see that a lot in the finance roles also, that the glass ceilings are hard to break. I think having a fair knowledge about everything in life, it's like an MBA degree that you just know everything, but you're not a master of anything. Yeah.
So I started NiMiTHAM a year ago. So that's the initiative for which we do this Kapi Poha session. It's about life skills, conducting life skill workshop for youngsters, basically, so that they can cope up with hardships in life. That's the main motto, so that youngsters can be helped in the right age. They can be given some insight, some workshop, so that it will help them develop those life skills as well. So that's the reason we started with NiMiTHAM, and we started with this chat show, because we couldn't do workshops because of COVID and all. And I didn't want to do everything in Zoom and do a webinar through Zoom, because I wanted to meet people, kids and all, personally, do a face-to-face interaction. That's what my intention was. So now coming back to life skills. So according to you, is life skill important? And if it is important, which is one according to you is important?
I think being able to play the part is very important.
Hmm.
If you think that you are a vice president, then you need to behave like one. If you think you are a housewife, then you need to behave like one. If you think that you are something else, then you need to behave like one. I think you have to play the part. That's a basic life skill that anybody has to achieve, has to follow to be able to achieve once. I think being accepted in the society as what you are is very, very essential.
Hmm.
I, I, I don't know how much this chat is going to be broadcasted, but you saw my leadership skills in RBS, right? It was a completely new role for me. I I was an outsider, and I I couldn't even relate to majority of the people that were working for me. But I did not do anything for the first 6 months. I was quiet. However, when you have to act upon certain things because you feel there is a lot of things going under the cover, then you say. But few people get so used to your being so quiet that they feel that why is she now raising her voice? You know what I mean? So, Smita, I think this is a very general advice to everybody. Silence also has a lot of meaning. So when people don't speak, doesn't mean they're not aware.
Hmm.
Whether that was construed in a right way or a wrong way, that's your luck, typically. And how aligned are you to the work culture of that organization? But yes, being able to adapt and transform yourself to that organizational need and leadership per se is very essential. I had people reporting into me who were 5 to 10 years older than me. I had people who I reported into who were 5 to 7 years younger than me.
Hmm.
So, you know, I don't know, it was merit based or color based or whatever based, but it didn't seem to be in a alignment in terms of an organizational structure. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I guess modern MNCs are like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one has
So
to
yeah.
be able to adjust yourself to that kind of a structure. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wherever you go, you should be able to cope up with whatever is coming up in your life.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
Either you
I
go with
think
the
my
tide or you get into a eddy.
Yeah. So my life mantra is to like do things which makes your heart flutter. So probably before sabbatical, I was like 15, 16 years into work. Now it's like I just follow the 8 plus 8 plus 8 rule. 8 hours of work, 8 hours of sleep, and 8 hours of my time. So that 8 hours of my time, I do whatever I have to do for my initiatives or whatever I'm doing. writing and all this. That's what I try to
You
balance.
found your nirvana, Smita. You're a lucky woman.
I'm just doing that. अभी तक हो रहा है manage. आगे मुझे पता नहीं कैसे होगा. किसी दिन
That's
equation
it's
इधर उधर होगा.
well, if you find that balance in your work and life, that's a great achievement that you have. Then you know.
Because that's what I wanted after sabbatical also. If I wanted to get back to corporate, that was my condition to myself, that I want a life where I have time for myself. Whatever I missed in the earlier years, I do not want to compromise further. That's the reason I thought so. Yeah, so
Oh,
coming back
you're a
to
great
hobby,
woman yourself. I mean, somebody who's done a summit to Mount Everest is a huge, huge.
I've not done a summit to Mount Everest. I've done till the base camp.
Well, that's
19,000.
more than summit for me.
So yeah,
But
yeah,
but I'm
I
getting a
did.
little fitter too without doing any much of things. But yeah, I think that's an not just from mental fitness, but even from you know, the strength that you achieve in controlling your mind, body, and emotions. I think that's a good way of testing yourself in any kind of challenge that you're thrown, whether in work or in life. Yeah.
So I went through transformation. It helped me out. This travel and all those things. I think I experienced life in a very different way. I was in a I was in a box. I was looking at just one direction. Just it was a race or something. I don't know what I was doing. It didn't make sense. But when I was doing the kind of life I was having, it made all sense. But once I started
On
traveling
a
and
lighter
experiencing,
note, people in midlife do all these things, Smita.
but जो भी है, so, एक ही
I
life
did
है
that when
अपनी.
I was 30, so perhaps I'm not living beyond 60 years of age. I used to
तो ये
do
बोलते
these
एक
river
ही life है,
rafting
जियो जो जैसे
expeditions.
करना है जियो. That's more important. That's all. You never
Exactly.
know
I think
tomorrow.
whatever makes you happy at the end of the day, everybody
Do
should
that.
be doing that. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely
Absolutely.
agree to that. So
It's very
when you
hard
were
to achieve that and reconcile that because a lot of times happiness can be very conflicting in an organization. What gives me happiness in terms of, and what gives my boss happiness and what gives happiness to my juniors are different. But
yeah,
you know,
definitely.
that's what where your management skills and your learning skills all along help you in achieving a balance.
Yeah. So what I started believing is there's no tomorrow. कल का कुछ पता नहीं है. So live in the moment. That's also another
No, no,
thing
no. There
which
is a long tomorrow. No, don't worry. Don't worry. There is a whole long tomorrow. Tomorrow never dies.
but that is what I just feel that कि आज का दिन है. आज के दिन में जितना हो सकता है, just do
No,
it.
no. You
Let's see
should
tomorrow.
seize the moment. Carb jam is very essential, but you should seize the moment definitely. But
Yeah.
the wise also plan for the tomorrow. Just don't live for today.
That's there. But yeah, but पता नहीं अब मुझसे होता नहीं है. कल का कल देखेंगे होता नहीं है. अब वो जो करना है आज करो. कल का कल
Normally,
कल
women who are single think like that. But if you, yeah.
So maybe that. Okay. So coming back to hobbies, what are your hobbies? You love traveling and all, what or reading books?
With COVID, of course, my traveling has completely come to a standstill. I haven't stepped out of the country for the last 3
1.5
years.
3 years.
3
Okay.
years. 2019 was the last time I went out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about other hobbies and all? Do you read? Do you yoga and all
I
this stuff?
read, I collect a lot of books. Even if I read them or don't read them, I collect a lot of books. I've become a bit of a hoarder. But I like having my bookshelf full with like 10, 15 books that I think I'm going to read. And sometimes I just learn by the title itself and I say, okay, this is what I need to follow. I like to shop, but that has come down as well. I like to talk a lot and make new friends, but there can be a bit of a challenge vis-a-vis that because you may just find the wrong people also along the way. And I just like to keep myself updated with what's happening in the world, not just in economics and transfer pricing, but in general, so that if I have to reskill myself into doing something different from what I've always been doing, then I'm at least aware, if not an expert at it, but as a manager, I'm able to just manage the way it has to be conducted.
So for being a leader, what are the qualities one should have?
I think I just posted something on LinkedIn, Smita, and I said that I will talk about it also. There's a very excellent a pie chart by concentric, models by circles by Harvard Business Review, which I definitely subscribe to. And it's very generic and very, I think it's
I love
universally
that.
applicable. You need to know a purpose in your life, in your work, and you need to know what are the requirements for those purpose to be achieved. What are what are the expectations of the world around you are to achieve those, and in terms of what your demands are of your company and your society and your juniors and your management, to combine that, and that serves as the goal that you work for in the short term or in the long term.
So okay, so let's come back to this this section, which is called the fun part of it, fun part of the chit chat which we're having. So it is all riddles basically, which I'll ask you, and then we'll come back to the last question, which is the message to the youngsters. So so I'll start with it. Okay, so it's a one-liner है सारे छोटे-छोटे questions ही हैं. So what word is always spelled wrong?
There. I don't know. I don't spell wrong. I don't know.
Wrong is always spelled wrong.
Okay, WRONG. I thought it was right.
So, okay, the next one is also very interesting. I can be cracked, I can be made, I can be told, I can be played. What am I?
Don't ask me these riddles, please. I'm very bad at all these. I have no clue what you're talking about.
This is joke. Joke.
I can be cracked. Okay, understood. Are you referring to a child's, like a fifth grade nephew of yours who's asked you to ask how smart is Kanupriya?
I have a kiddie gang around me. So I have a kiddie gang around me who keeps nudging me with all those riddles, and also
I have no kids around me. Fortunately or unfortunately, I have no liabilities. Yeah. So I have no such pressure of reading child books and riddles and relating to them. No, and my relatives are far grown up, and they talk more sense than me now.
So I have all my teachers half of my age. I have my circle of people half my age. Half क्या उससे भी छोटे हैं. So that's how my circle is all about.
Don't get me started on that. I know you have a thing for young people.
No, and another gang is all oldies, 60 plus. So
do you want me to say more about that? I was your boss and I was keeping an eye on everybody.
Okay, let me ask you another question. You travel a lot, ना तो ये तो पता होना चाहिए. I have cities but no houses. I have mountains but no trees. I have water but no fish. What am I?
It sounds like Delhi का पहाड़गंज में पहाड़ नहीं. ये कैसी दिल्ली है भाई? ये है.
The answer is map. Map मतलब you have cities in it but घर नहीं है, लेकिन पहाड़ है, लेकिन पेड़ नहीं है, लेकिन rivers है, like seas and rivers सब कुछ है, लेकिन fish नहीं है, तो क्या होगा? मैप ही होगा ना?
मैप ही होता है. हाँ नहीं, पर ये दिल्ली के लिए एक हिंदी में बोलते थे, ये कैसी दिल्ली है भाई, पहाड़गंज में पहाड़ नहीं, दरियागंज में दरिया नहीं, ये कैसी दिल्ली है भाई. तो मैं उसकी तरह सोच रही थी, क्योंकि दिल्ली इज माई.
दिल्ली वाले हो यार, दिल वाले हो, बड़े दिल वाले जिसे कहते हैं.
अब तो गांव में बस गए हैं.
अभी तो गुड़गांव में हो. Yeah. So next one, last one, not इसके बाद मैं नहीं पूछ रही. What word in the English language does the following? First two letters signifies a male. First three letters signifies a female. And first four letters signifies a great. And while the entire word signifies a great woman.
Sorry, they're not just speaking in between. Yeah, I have no clue. Sorry, Smita.
Heroine.
Sorry, what is it?
Heroine.
Heroine?
Heroine. First two letters are for a male.
He.
First three letters HEROINE.
Heroine. Okay, heroine. Okay, yeah. Right.
First two letters male हो गया, first three letters female हो गया, and then the first four letters hero is for signifying great, and then the entire word is for a woman, great woman basically. Let's come back to the last question. What is your message to the youngsters basically?
I think just do what you feel like doing. Listen to everybody, but follow what your passions are. Don't follow the shortcuts, not skirts. Sorry, shorts. cuts and don't follow the shortcuts, because invariably you land up in a bigger loop that you cannot get out of. Focus on learning, not education. Don't collect degrees for the sake of degrees. Learn, educate yourself, and I wouldn't say be independent. I think it's a pretty misconstrued, misunderstood subject. But yes, wherever you are, given your circumstances, whether good or bad, just, there is this word called concentration. Just concentrate on your mind, and in a very very lighter tone, भगवान ने दो कान दिए हैं, जो अच्छा लगता है उसको अंदर डालो, जो मन में कुछ मत लो. Don't take tension, don't take stress, don't overwork, but yes, if you're doing something, do it with full mind, heart, body and soul.
सुनो सबकी करो मन की.
हाँ जी.
सुनो सबकी करो मन की.
नहीं, सुनने की बात भी नहीं है, नहीं, कभी कभी सुनना भी पड़ता है, बट मन की ये करो कि आजकल लोग ज्यादा मन की करते हैं. प्रॉब्लम ये है, उनको थोड़ा सा कंट्रोल में भी लाना पड़ता है. या थोड़ा सा. आई एम नॉट सेइंग मच, like otherwise everybody will be a ballistic missile, right? If everybody does what they want to do.
So what do you suggest, a mentor and a coach is helpful for a guidance? People should have
Definitely, absolutely. And there's no doubt that if somebody can handhold you and tell you that, hey, that you're not doing the right thing, or hey, this is happening because of this and that reason, it helps you in a very very long way. I had a mentor in my life too, in GE, and yeah, I had a great mentor.
So
She helped me a lot. Yeah, she helped me a lot.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I know if you have a coach or a mentor, then your life changes basically. They help you see your blind spots basically.
And I think a boss needs to be more of a coach and a mentor to his team than being a boss. And that's what I tried to be with you guys. But it did work in some ways, it didn't work in some ways.
Yeah.
It did work for a lot of people, yeah.
So with people is a different ball game basically, and every person is different. How they take is very different.
I think everybody comes with a sort of a mindset and conditioning which is very hard to change and break. And one has to find a sort of a middle ground where it works for everybody.
So which is your favorite book, if I may ask?
I don't think much people would have heard of it. It's a very I read it in a shop called no, it was not a shop actually. It's funny that I went to a pub at the age of 20, thanks to my brother, in China, into 1997, when I graduated in economics from Delhi University. That was my first job in Flextronics. There was a book called You Learn to Live and You Learn to Drive.
Yeah.
I don't remember the content of the book at all, but that title just stuck to my brain. So first thing when I came back was, before I turned 21, is to learn driving. And yes, and I think driving has saved me and a lot of people's life because of that.
I also feel a difference when once I started driving. So it changes a bit.
I don't know if that book is still available. It's the most nondescript book one can find, and it was like a shelf of a bar, and I just picked it up out of the blue, and that thing has stayed in my memory. Other good book which everybody likes and reads about is Prince. I don't know if you've heard of Prince, Little Prince. It's an excellent book. I don't remember the author. It's an excellent book. One should definitely read that. It's how a child perceives adults. Yeah, it's like that little. There was a movie also similar to that. Baby's Day Out. It's not like that, but it's like the same thing that child is able to read a adult's brain more than he's able to comprehend a child's psychology.
So being an author, I keep asking people about the love for books, because then it helps me to collect those stories or read those stories and think differently, or I get a different perspective about the content I'm writing. So वो मुझे help करता है. So I hope you get a chance to read my book as well. So you read and do share your feedback of my book. The first book,
What
second
is
book,
the book called, Smita?
Achan's Flamingo.
Sorry?
It, Achan's Flamingo. It's on travel.
Cool.
The travel which I did, the sabbatical time which I spent on mountains and beaches and all. So that's a book. It covers everything, and also some bit is about life lessons of my father, and also the kind of life I lived in vacation time during my summer vacations in Kochi and different places. So it's all life lessons plus travel के हैं और मेरा थोड़ा life I've carried
That's
over the
very good.
years.
Very good. Congratulations for the same.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, so
Like
when you get chance.
nowadays, everybody who has a tenacity to express oneself is publishing a book. I think it's like the most in thing right now, because one of my ex-colleagues also from GE, his 9-year-old daughter has published a book.
Yeah, there are a lot of people. Now it's much more easier to do it. Self-published हो
It's
आराम से.
easier, and a lot of people have the the mental faculty to be able to translate what their thoughts are into words, and it's not easy to just articulate your thoughts in a very logical manner which is able
Next
to
book
be.
is little different. It's an experimental book. It's about dance basically, art, performing arts, which is dance. But because I'm a classical dancer as well, so it's based on
What form
dance,
of
fashion,
dance you do, Smita? We never shared that about each other.
yeah, so I'm a Bharatanatyam dancer. I used to learn dancing when I was a kid, basically, for till teenage. When I was a teenager, I used to learn that. After that, it was a break, and then I started learning again from last year. So
I'm a
I'm
trained
writing a.
Odissi dancer.
Okay, I never knew about it. So, yeah.
I have performed at Triveni Kala Sangam, Bharatiya Kala Kendra, India
Okay.
Habitat Center.
I've never seen your pictures. Also, do share your videos or pictures.
उस
लोगों के
टाइम
लिए
पे
it's very
इस टाइम पे इंस्टाग्राम नहीं होता था.
Insta नहीं, at least some video
I think
recordings.
I have lived a life offline better than what I lead online nowadays.
That's true. So I normally share a lot of things about my life online, basically because it's just walk the talk. Because you're. I mean, like if I'm writing something or I'm working on NiMiTHAM, people should not think that I have a dual life. It should be the same life, which is online and offline. So I do not differentiate between. So yeah, I share whatever is happening in life. पता नहीं कौन inspire हो जाए या किससे क्या inspiration मिल जाए और कुछ नहीं. So
I
next
think if
book is
you're
a.
able to articulate a hobby and pursue it, I think that's the best way of being able to be centered and be balanced in your head and brain and life.
So that I agree. That I agree. So
I
एक तो
performed best during my MBA exam just before, like I had an exam at say 5 o'clock, and at 8 o'clock I had a performance, and I did best in that exam because it was like well.
so yeah, creativity is too. So I'm moving
No,
from analytical logical
there is
minds.
there's a scientific proof that if you pursue things like these hobbies like music, dance, and writing and things like that, it improves your mental faculty, it improves your concentration and focus to what you want to do. Typically, people who are good at dancing are very good at maths also.
ये logic मुझे नहीं पता था. Okay, let me see if there are any questions. I think there are a lot of people who joined. Hi, Sapna. Okay,
Yeah, sorry, my
Pratna
father
joined.
and my parents. I'm sitting on the dining table, so they're having the dinner. It's a bit over delayed, so my father is watching cricket. Yeah, so you can
So
hear
no
him talk
worries.
as well.
A lot of people have joined, so I don't see any questions here. So I don't see.
Hi everybody. If any, I think I saw some of my own friends who have never met also here, which is little like, why are you curious about me? Maybe they're curious about you, Smita. So it's okay. Hi everybody. Anybody has questions to ask,
You
please
can
ask.
ask,
Feel,
or
or
you
you can
can
even. I don't need followers on my phone or my Instagram. Please, I don't believe in herd mentality. But yes, if you can if I can make a positive difference in your thinking and life vis-a-vis being a woman, not as a woman but as a professional or as a human being, I'll be delighted to help.
So if anybody has any questions, you can reach out to Kanupriya. She's there in LinkedIn. She's there in Insta. If you feel if you can resonate with her thinking and I want to ask questions, you can go ahead and do it. And thanks for your time, Kanupriya, for coming on the show, sharing some useful insights to us as well. And your journey has been inspirational for us.
Is this going to get live, be posted on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, or is it also going to be on YouTube?
So what happens is this IGTV, I just save it on the link. I mean the Insta as it is. It gets saved like that, and then YouTube, I just cut the initial part where the music is there because some copyright issue आता, so I just use it from the start, and then I post it in YouTube as well as in Spotify. Basically, YouTube has a
Oh, it's
video
on
link, and
Spotify as well.
yeah. So because
Hope they can make me the
schools
models.
like blind, yeah, there are blind schools. There are kids in blind schools who want to listen to the stories who can't watch. So it's for them as well. So they can listen to those people.
We're not as popular as the film stars or the peoples like Indira Nooyi or
Yeah, but there are a lot
other.
of people who are traveling and all. They listen to those podcasts and all. So there are a lot of people doing that. So I also
I'm
never knew.
glad. I'm glad if you can reach out to the larger audience, and I'm glad you made this initiative, Smita. And I would be happy to
Even one
collaborate
person,
with you. And
if would say, if even one person comes back and asks me a question, I feel happy about it, and I just tell the
but
guest
not
speaker
even
as
one
well.
person has asked me a question, except for you and me, Smita. That's a little discouraging.
ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. People might come back. You don't know. People can come back on the when I post
So
something.
right
Also,
now,
they
I
come.
just see two people who are listening, who are watching. Kanika
Yeah, the
Ahuja
Sapna
and
is there.
Lakshmi Nair.
Sapna was there within my PG when I was in Bangalore. Sri Lakshmi is my dance teacher. She's my teacher basically who teaches Bharatanatyam to me. So hi Sri Lakshmi. So we have Kanupriya. She's a Odissi dancer as well. So yeah, it's another classical dancer. So if you have questions, you can ask anything if you want to, and otherwise you can DM us or whatever you
I
want.
think they're just extending support to you and your cause by being there. That's very nice of them.
Yeah, so she can
They
post
don't know me, so
Sri.
they really won't have any questions just to ask a stranger. I can understand that. Yeah, fair enough. But I hope it
So yeah,
reaches out to
that's
the
what.
younger
Then these
generation
links get
also.
posted. Yeah, this links get posted in LinkedIn and FB as well, so that although it looks repetitive in different social media, but I keep doing that so that more people, I can reach out to more people, and if somebody wants to be part of the cause, they can be part of it. That's it.
I think, yeah, just reaching out to larger audience is always a good idea. And if you can just tag me in your LinkedIn post,
Yeah.
like a hashtag Kanupriya or like an @Kanupriya Parashar, I think it'll reach out to I think I have about 3,000 followers. It's crazy. I don't even know them, but yeah, it's great to.
Yeah, I'll do that because I think when you mentioned that I was not able to, you were not able to see the notification. I checked with other people as well. Some of them were not able to see it because of some settings issue. So I've just got that sorted. So I think probably now everybody will be able to see those tags and all. Thanks
All
for
right.
highlighting that. Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show, and thanks viewers being part of the show. So let's catch up next week with another interesting personality. Take care. Bye till then.
All
Enjoy
right.
your weekend. Yeah.
Happy festivities. Yeah. Bye.
Bye bye. Happy festivities.